So I'm going to sing a song. Amar Jivan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Read the translation first. I am an impious sinner and have caused others great anxiety and trouble. I have never hesitated to perform sinful acts for my own enjoyment, devoid of all passion, concerned only with my own selfish interest. I am remorseful seeing others happy. I am a perpetual liar, and the misery of others is a source of great pleasure for me. The material distress within the core of my heart are unlimited. Desires within the core of my heart are unlimited. I am wrathful, devoted to false pride and arrogance, intoxicated by vanity and bewildered by worldly affairs. Envy and egotism are the ornaments I wear, ruined by laziness and sleep. I resist all pious deeds, yet I am very active and enthusiastic to perform wicked acts. For worldly fame and reputation, I engage in the practice of deceitfulness. Thus I am destroyed by my own greed and am always lustful. A vile, wicked man such as this, rejected by godly people, is a constant offender. I am such a person, devoid of all good works, forever inclined towards evil, worn out and wasted by various miseries. Now in old age, deprived of all means of success, humbled and poor, Bhaktivinoda submits his tale of grief at the feet of the Supreme Lord. Amar jivan sada papirata nahi ko punyera lesha. Tarere udvega diyachi je koto diyachi jivera klesha. Parere udvega diyachi je koto diyachi jivera. निज सुख लागी पापे नहीं दोरी दोया है ना स्वार्थ पार. पर सुखे दुखी सदा मिथ्यावासी पर दुख सुख कर. अशेष कामना हृदय माझे मोरा क्रोधी दंभ परायणा. अशेष कामना हृदय मद मत्त सदा विषय मोहित हिंसा गर्व विभूषणा. मत्त सदा विषय मोहित हिंसा गर्व विभूषणा. निद्रालस्य हत सुकार्य विरत अकार्य उद्योगी आमी. प्रतिष्ठा लागिया सतये आचरण लोभहत सदा कामी. प्रतिष्ठा लागिया प्रतिष्ठा लागिया षठय आचरण लोभहत sada kami. Eno durjan sajana varjita aparadha nirantara. Shubhakarya shunya sadanarthamana nana dukhe jara jara. Shubhakarya shunya sadanarthamana nana dukhe jara jara. Vardakhe khona upaya vina tate dina akhinchana. Khan upaya vina tate dina kinchana. Bhakati vinoda prabhura charane kore dukha nivedana. Bhakati vinoda prabhura charane kore dukha nivedana. Amara jivan sada papera tha nahi ko punyera lesha. Nahi ko punyera lesha. Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivijakacarya Ashtottara Shata Shishmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivijakacarya Ashtottara Shata Shishmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Govinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Vrindavan Dham ki मथुरा धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की तुलसी देवी की भक्ति देवी की समवेत भक्तवृंद की all glories to the Assembled Devotees Hare Krishna, all glories to the Assembled Devotees Hare Krishna, all glories to the Assembled Devotees Hare Krishna, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupada Krishna Prasthapad Srimate Bhakti Vikas Swami Namane. Could you grab the book that's on my table downstairs? It's just open. Okay, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1, canto 3, chapter entitled Questions by Vidura, text number 14. Sorry, I gotta get off this here. You want to pull this up? Somebody want to pull this up? Mason? Okay. Okay, I guess before we start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. Iti Uchivangs Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asat Kritaha Sat Sprahaniya Shilaha Kshata Sakarnanuja Saubalena Iti Uchivangs Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahaniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena Iti Uchivangs Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahiniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena Iti Uchivangs Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahiniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena. Please repeat. Ityuchivam Tatta Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahiniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena Ityuchivam Tatta Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahiniya Shilaha Sakarnanuja Saubalena Ityuchavam Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahaniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena Ityucham Satra Saubalena Dhanena Okay, Mataji. Ityuvam Tatra Suyodhanena Pravriddha Kopa Spuritadharena Asatkrita Satsprahiniya Shilaha Shata Sakarnanuja Saubalena. Okay. All right. Iti 10. Uchivan, while speaking. Tatra, there. Suyodhanena, by Duryodhana. Pravidha, swollen with. Kopa, anger. Spurita, flapping. Adharena, lips. Asatkritaha, insulted. Sat, respectable. Sprihaniya shilaha, desirable qualities. Kshata, vidura. Sa, with. Karna, karna. Anuja, younger brothers. Saubalena, with Shakuni. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. While speaking thus, Vidura, whose personal character was esteemed by respectable persons, was insulted by Duryodhana, who was swollen with anger and whose lips were trembling. Duryodhana was in company with Karna, his younger brothers, and with his maternal uncle, Shakuni. Is it Shakuni or Shakuni? Shakuni. Okay, purport. It is said that giving good counsel to a foolish person causes the fool to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases the venomous poison. Saintly Vidura was so honorable that his character was looked up by all the respectable persons. But Duryodhana was so foolish that he dared to insult Vidura. This was due to his bad association with Shakuni, his maternal uncle, and as well as with his friend Karna, who always encouraged Duryodhana in his nefarious acts. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitamena Tasmai Shiguru Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitamina Bhutali Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadadi Swapadandikam Vandiham Shiguru Shyotapadakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavahansha Shirupam Sakrijatam Sakana Raghunatam Vitam Tasajju Sadhuitam Savatitam Pariyana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakana Lalita Shiv Shakhan Vitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhidinam and the Jagatpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchina Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Bhishyavanusati Devi Pranamami Hri Priya Vanchakalpadarubhesha Kripa Sindhubhya Vicha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamiti Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Buddhale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Sarasvate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschate Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnananandamayam Devam Nirmashpatikakrit Madharam Sarva Vidyanamaya Gribam Upasmaya Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tene Rasmarana Hai Vigna Vinashana Nayasya Hai Nijavanchita Purana. Okay, so continue the discussions in this section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, questions by Vidura. Vidura here playing here his role as the saintly person, as a sadhu does. He advises everyone in the process of devotional service, or he tries to put them on the proper path of devotional service by giving them proper advice. And that is the duty of a sadhu, is to speak the absolute truth as it is without any change. Therefore, it is particularly done by those who are brahmanas, although Vidura particularly may not be considered exactly within the system, exactly as like because he was born out of the womb of a maidservant. He is not particularly considered a brahmana, but due to his attraction towards the Lord and his dedication to the Lord, he is considered higher than a brahmana. He is a Vaishnava. He is the Vaishnava of the topmost platform. Therefore, he is respected by all persons. One is respected not out of his birth or particularly his knowledge only. One may have so much knowledge, but his activities may be abominable. Just like all of these other characters within the Mahabharata, or within the within even Srimad Bhagavatam, they have knowledge. Even Kamsa has so much knowledge. Kamsa has so much knowledge. You hear him speak, and this is like, oh, it sounds like a devotee speaking about the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. When you read that section, when he realizes that what he's doing is not good, he speaks the whole philosophy that you're not the body, and that there's time is playing a factor, and that you should not consider to me to be the role of all of this. And it's like the philosophy. He knows knowledge. He understands. But his activities are not in line with what is the desire of Krishna, what is the desire and the goal of the Vedas, is to develop love and attraction to Krishna, perform those activities which are favorable for Krishna consciousness, and reject those activities which are unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. That is what constitutes what a Vaishnava is. His achar, vichar, and prachar are all in line. He does all of those three things perfectly. His ability to think and philosophize in his mind, in his intelligence, he is perfect in that. His achar, his behavior towards other Vaishnavas and in the world is perfect. And his vichar, prachar, achar. And his preaching is also perfect. His speaking to others is also perfect. So that is the qualification of a Vaishnav, that he knows how to do all of these three things perfectly. And so, in order to take that advantage, one has to have a few qualities. Now, I was reading a little bit in this book, Vaishnav Ke, what kind of devotee are you? A poem by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, really nicely commented upon by Jayapataka Maharaj. Really, really amazing book. And he was saying later in this, I believe, in the 6th text here, that the quality of devotional service, the reason most people cannot take it up is because it is a process of yoga that requires no duplicity. And that is very difficult to give up. Duplicity is very difficult to give up. It's very difficult to become humble. That's why people can't chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Because it requires humility. It requires great level of humility. It requires great level of purification of the heart, pureness in the heart. Not have any sort of duplicity, any sort of feeling, or any other motive. Therefore, the acharyas push us to have known this ahituki apratihata, that completely unmotivated and uninterrupted. But that requires purification of heart. Tada rajastamo bhava, kama lobhadaschaya. It requires purification by getting rid of these modes of passion and ignorance. And Srila Prabhupada writes again and again throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam, one cannot come to the platform of Krishna consciousness unless he gets rid of this passion and ignorance. One cannot understand God, one cannot come to the God realization by remaining on the platform of passion and ignorance, even within Krishna consciousness. We can be in that even within Krishna consciousness. We're ignorant of our desires, we're ignorant of our activities, we're ignorant of our dealing with devotees, we're ignorant of our own, these lust, greed, anger, madness, illusion, all of these things, we're ignorant of that. So one requires to, in order to come to the platform of devotional service of this achar, vichar, and prachar, having these things imperfect, one has to remove all of this duplicity within one's heart. One has to do that, one has to endeavor to do that. How does he do that? Where he is nityam bhagavata sevaya, shinvatam swakatha krishna, punya shravana kirtana, hridayanta hi abhidrani, vidonati shuhitsatam. One has to hear with a lot of attention, chanting Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. One has to remember Vishnu, one has to chant about Vishnu. That is the medicine given. But in order to do that properly, we have to have proper behavior. We have to have proper intelligence. So here we see that Prabhupada comments like that for a person to give counsel to a foolish person, it causes the fool to become angry. So we see this with this nice English saying that my spiritual master quotes a lot. Ignorance is bliss. It's folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss. You cannot advise fools. You actually sometimes will say like that to argue with a fool means you're also a fool. To tell a fool something, and something that you know he's just going to be offensive to you, it also sometimes, we look foolish. We look foolish doing it. We may not be a fool, as devotees are not fools, as Vidura is not a fool, but sometimes we will look foolish. Sometimes we argue with these Mayavadis, and it's so stupid. They're the dumbest things, makes no sense, has no basis of reality, there's no logic or reason. It's just like arguing with Christians almost as well. No logic and reason, nothing. We don't want to argue on the logic and reason, but just mere faith. So you argue with them all you like, but at the end of it, half an hour has gone by, and even if you defeated them, they don't care. You're going to hell anyways. So what did you gain? Nothing. We just wasted our time. It was foolish. We have this so many times in our lives, even after so many years. Sometimes you just accidentally get into you just can't control it, and you just get into it with the Christians, and you realize after that, it's like you feel so bad because you're like, man, I could have given others Krishna consciousness. I could have given this same thing that I wasted so much time and effort in this person. I could have met someone nice who would take the books and read the book and benefit so much from it, but I simply wasted my time. So one has to be careful in understanding this is also a part of, we see in the 10 offenses that one should advise the proper person, one should not reveal certain things to envious persons. One should not reveal the pure understanding, one should not reveal the understanding of the holy name to those who are envious. So one has to, a sadhu is generally very careful in his dealings with those who are envious. But at the same time, he's very merciful, so he goes out of his ways to advise them, even though he may know sometimes that they will not take it. You see, in the case of Vidura, he just after he gives it a shot, he dips out. He doesn't stick around generally. The sadhu is detached, he doesn't care. So we see that he was, and we'll see it coming up, and it's like the way that Duryodhana speaks, the way that they speak to Vidura is so terrible. It's so anybody, even if it wasn't a saintly person, even if it was like a low-class person off the street, to speak like that to someone is very terrible. You have to have a lot of envy in your heart and a lot of horrible things in your heart to speak to, especially someone like Vidura, who has no bad qualities, who is respected by the greatest of saints. So Duryodhana, it's clear, as we've discussed yesterday and all that. He's a very envious person. And envy, like Prabhu was saying yesterday, is one of the only things that cannot be engaged in devotional service. So the Shastras asks us to simply give it up. Rupa Goswami simply asks us to give it up. One should just give it up. One should just renounce it. One should not be attached to envy. As a good point that Prabhu was making yesterday was that one doesn't get anything out of it but trouble. But if he was to, same envy was transformed into awe and reverence and respect for that devotee or that person, then one gains their qualities. So, actually, I never thought about it like that. And it hit me yesterday, like, wow, that's so true. It's like, you want all the things that this person has, but the way to get it, and way to have that endowed upon you is to actually respect that and love that person. And so we have the same thing in our sampradaya. One who is devoted to Vishnu, one who is completely surrendered to Vishnu, he gets all the qualities of the demigods. But one who is not, one who has no devotion, or one who is averse to the service to Vishnu, he has no good qualities at all. So it is simply, it sounds simple. It's just a transformation of that envy. It's like instead of that envy, one should try to transfer that to love towards that devotee. Because it's there deeply in the heart. Why is it there? It's not there because that's just the way we are. That's not true. It's not that because envy is our nature. Our nature is naturally as a servant and a lover of Krishna. That means also the lover of his devotees. One loves Krishna, Prabhupada says. Krishna, the devotees of Krishna are his paraphernalia. in one place. They're extensions of his paraphernalia. His association. So one's natural love for Krishna, it is not separate from the love for his devotees or the love for other living entities also. Because they're non-different, non-different means they're coming from him. They're spirit souls that are individuals that have that eternal relationship with Krishna. What is this verse? How does it start? That one's Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunai Shravanadi Suddha Chitte Kare Udai. That this love for Krishna is not something that is to be gained. It is actually already there in the heart of every living entity. But one simply has to reawaken that. So a sadhu, a uttama adhikari, he sees everyone on the platform of Krishna consciousness. So one only begins to create enviousness in his heart when develops a desire for bhukti mukti siddhi kami shakale ashanta. But Krishna Bhakta, it starts with Krishna Bhakta Nishkama, Ateva Shanta. That a devotee, he's never in anxiety. Why? Why is he never in anxiety? Because his desires are completely directed toward the Lord. He has no desires. He has no personal desires. So he's never in anxiety. He's always peaceful. He's always peaceful under any circumstance. You put him in any circumstances. It can be during a war, like with Srila Prabhupada. Bombs are dropping. Let's go. Let's get under bomb shelter. No, I'm going to take my prasadam. He's not disturbed. He's not. Why? Because nishkama. He has no desire. He doesn't give a damn. He's like, I'm fully self-realized. I don't care if I die. So what? Krishna is my protector. Krishna is my protector. Who will protect you? You can go to your bomb shelter, but nobody will protect you. Krishna Rakhi Mare Ke. Mare Krishna Rakhi ki. Who will protect you but Krishna? Nobody can protect you. Only Krishna can protect me. And have full faith, as this nice Vishnu Shahastra Nam. Tara, no, that's a different, this recently just came out, No More Fear. And it's the thumbnail is a Prahlad Maharaj with all the, them trying to attack him. Just came out yesterday. I listened to it as soon as it came out. No More Fear. Yeah. Freedom from fear forever. Tara. So, one becomes free from fear. When one remembers Vishnu Smaranam, he becomes completely free of fear. So a devotee should, technically, by philosophical understanding, should never be in anxiety. One who is a devotee means free from anxiety. Prabhupada said often, many times, he said, one becomes free from anxiety. No more hankering, no more lamenting. Is this just philosophy? Is this just philosophy? No. Then why do we not experience it in our lives? In devotional service, we become anxious in devotional service. We become anxious. Why do we feel like that? Because we are not coming to the platform of pure devotional service, where we are harboring and feeding the weeds of devotional service within the heart. That comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, that Nishidachar, Kutinati, Jiva Hinsa, Lava Puja Pratishta, Yata Shaka what is it? Adi Upashakagan. So, desire for name, fame, adoration, worldly adoration, Jiva Himsa, not giving Krishna consciousness to others. So, all of these things are to be given up. But we generally tend to feed those things. We want those things. We want a position. We want name. We want fame. We want adoration. We want beautiful women. We want such and such things. And we don't even realize it. That's the most amazing thing. We think we're pure devotees. We think that we're in anxiety because of this other devotee. Not because of me. Not because of all these things within my heart. I'm in anxiety because of this person. This person did this to me. This person said this about me, and this person is acting like this against me. Therefore, I'm in anxiety. Therefore, my life is terrible. But you see Prabhupada's, his example, his godbrothers didn't give a damn. There's a stupid article that came out recently that pure devotees don't criticize anyone, and then they put all these quotes of where Prabhupada said things about his god brothers and said Prabhupada is not a pure devotee. It's the rascals. Rascals. Simply rascals. You see his activities. As who was saying that? Oh, Shivram Maharaj was saying that yesterday. Look at the power of Srila Prabhupada. He turned the Malechas into Vaishnavas and took them back to India and made the land which is meant for Krishna consciousness, where they should be fully Krishna conscious. And he took the Malechas and the Yavanas and made them teach Krishna consciousness to the Indians. That is the power of Srila Prabhupada. And you rascals quote a few things here and there, not understanding it properly, call him and deride his name and fame. They'll simply go to hell. Same, not really far from Duryodhan and his associates. Not very far from them. So, when we desire, just like Srila Prabhupada has such a great position, other people within the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition who are not pure of desire also want his position. So they become envious. Then you start to point at these things without understanding them properly. Look, he said this, he said that, he did this, he did that. So one becomes clouded by his judgment because it's clouded by envy. It's clouded by the desire to attain his name, fame, and position. One desires that. And it's not spiritual. You see, there's like, there to some extent, there may be that desire to, spiritually come to that platform where that devotee is. If that desire was spiritual, then that would be of service, not of envy. Because if one wants that spiritually, if it is a spiritual desire to have the qualities of that devotee, then one approaches with what? Tadvidi paripatena pariprashnila sevaya upadekshanti te jnaninas tattvadarshina. If it's spiritual, if that desire to have that position is spiritual, that desire to become a spiritual master for the sake of liberating the whole planet, all the living entities, then it's spiritual. But if that desire is material, then it's envy. Because you're just doing it for the sake of name and fame. So one has to be careful in devotional service to not become disturbed. If there is disturbance, we should immediately understand that there's something going on in our hearts. There's mature desire. We're always disturbed, always sad, always angry, always annoyed, always snapping. So then what's wrong? Is it my situation? Generally, because of our conditioning, we immediately go, no, it's me. Not me, sorry. We don't say that. No, it's everyone else around me. Where can I go? Where can I go next? So we slowly start to convince ourselves that the association of devotees is actually a terrible place to be, and I need to go and do my own thing, solitary performance of devotional service. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is constantly hammering that. How dare you think like this, oh my mind, you rascal. So one has to be careful. One has to be careful that his mind does not overcome his intelligence. Even though he goes through some difficulty, which is okay in Krishna consciousness. And how does that difficulty come about? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati writes there's this set of letters, I forget what it's called, that book that he has. I'm like looking through some of that. It's letters to his disciples. He writes in one place, Yeah, I think so, Amritavani. And he writes in one place that the only reason you undergo so much difficulty is because you do not know how to treat your seniors. He writes, when you do not know how to actually act properly with your seniors, I don't know if he says juniors, one cannot have proper action. What does he say? He said, one starts to experience bodily reactions. His health, physically, mentally becomes problematic in his life. And he starts to experience great difficulty. Why? Because Krishna is not pleased. So then he says, then at such a moment we try to think of this verse, Tatenu kampam susukshamano bunjaya vyatma kritam vipakam. He says like that, one should try to meditate upon that. But Point being that when one develops this envious attitude towards other Vaishnavas, then his life becomes really difficult. And if that enviousness is not quickly recognized and overcome, then it completely throws him out of devotional service. That's the only thing that actually will push us out of devotional service, is that enviousness. Because other than that, offenses can be rectified. But when one is envious, it's very difficult to rectify that. Because that enviousness again commits again and again more offenses. Simple, it's different, whatever. Following of the 4 regular principles, when people when people struggle with that, that's not a problem. People struggle with that. It's like you struggle with your external material desires, it's like one thing. But when you start to struggle with envy, then we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a lot of trouble. Because that's something that has nothing to do with bhakti. It has nothing to do with the process. Here it's really nicely being described that envy has nothing to do with bhakti and cannot be utilized in devotional service. Rather, devotional service is the process of eradicating all envy and material desires from the heart and fixing the pure consciousness in a spiritual service attitude to the Supreme Lord. Thus, one's desires and mentalities become one with the Lord as there is complete harmony with his desires. So, this is an important point here. Entering into devotional service in the association of devotees marks the beginning of one's devotional life. Even after one has renounced the desire for accumulation of wealth, sense gratification, and women, the subtle desires for fame, adoration, distinction, and followers prove to be a formidable hurdle that one must cross over to reach perfection. Even in the association of devotees, the uncontrolled mind may mislead one into feeling envy for fellow devotees who are possessing positions of greater responsibility. Driven by envy and greed, one may endeavor to enhance his external position in devotional service and fall into unnecessary criticizing fellow devotees. Even though there are unlimited opportunities for devotional service, the materially affected mind may become restless and adopt an envious attitude, failing to see good qualities in devotees holding a superior position of responsibility. All these pitfalls have been warned against, and a devotee aspiring to achieve perfection should be careful to avoid these dangers. A pure devotee is careful not to lose his concentration in Krishna consciousness. Constantly depending on Krishna and the spiritual master, the devotee engages in himself in unbroken, unmotivated devotional service. This is the basis for achieving love for Krishna, and there is no higher duty. And then he quotes this, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharma Yato Bhakti Radokshaje Ahituki Apratihataya Yatma Supersidati. So, Prabhupada writes, devotional service to the Supreme Lord, which leads one to eternal, blissful, and all cognizant life, is called the superior quality of occupation. This is something polluted. This is sometimes polluted, mixed with the inferior quality. For example, the adoption of devotional service for material gain is certainly an obstruction to the progressive path of renunciation. Those who are renunciates can listen very carefully. Therefore, devotional service to the Lord must be pure in quality, without the least desire for material enjoyment. One should therefore accept the superior quality of occupation in the form of devotional service to the Lord without any tinge of unnecessary desire, fruitive action, and philosophical speculation. This line particularly really hit home when I first read it. This can lead one to perpetual solace in his service. Complete happiness. He's completely happy, he's stable, there's no hankering or lamenting. And Maharaj here, Chaitanya Maharaj writes really nicely, when a devotee loses his renounced attitude and becomes disturbed, in order to achieve a position of followers, he falls down from the platform of Krishna consciousness and becomes filled with anxieties. His faith in the Lord is confused, and he falls down feeling jealous of another devotee or unenthused to perform devotional service. In that mentality, his attitude of devotional service becomes sour and his offenses increase. he loses the shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should remain fixed in a renounced attitude of devotional service to avoid these dangers. If the devotee fails to recognize the symptoms of material desire, the next stage of implication in material life manifests in the mind by taking one away from the association of devotees. Leaving the association of devotees is a grave act, even if the intelligence might have been trained to a certain extent to avoid this type of fall down. The mind is expert in presenting apparent Krishna conscious reasons for living separately. One foolishly thinks that by being independent of the strict association of Krishna conscious society, one may be more peaceful in devotional service, or be free to fulfill one's material motives, which he was otherwise unable to do due to Krishna conscious association. At this time, it is convenient to find fault in one's spiritual authorities in order to have a rationale for leaving their authorized association for one's separate program. All these actions have been condemned in this verse as nothing but different manifestations of patishtha, the dangerous upashaka, or undesirable creeper of ambition for cheap reputation, followers, fame, and sense gratification. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has cautioned devotees in the teachings to Rupa Goswami, as mentioned above, against this treacherous weed. It's like how many times have we seen that? How well is this described? This is a science of Krishna consciousness. It is not some faith-based, some mumbo-jumbo somebody came up with. Like, we've seen this so many times. So if we're intelligent, we start to recognize it early in our hearts and see what we can do. See how we can humble ourselves up in order to overcome that situation so that we don't give ourselves an excuse to why we should perform devotional service outside of the association of devotees. This is dangerous. He's saying here, even the intelligent, one who is very intelligent within devotional service, one who has read the Shastra, one who understands the import of the Shastra, understands it intellectually. If he's not careful with the mind, it can overcome him. And it turns him into what? Into a foolish person. And to an extent where, the point I'm getting to here from the first line of Srila Prabhupada's purport, is that when one becomes such a person, he becomes foolish, he starts to do what? He starts to find fault. At this time, it is convenient to find fault in one's authorities. So that's the line that Srila Prabhupada is giving here. There's so much more that we could go in depth with. Unlimited amounts. But this one single line captures so much in it. And so one becomes foolish. And then when he hears the advice of his dear, maybe God brothers, authorities, those who he's performing devotional service with, he is so amazing, he thinks them to be envious. He himself is super envious. He himself has so much material desires within his heart, but he starts to transpose those upon his authorities. Starts to think, well, you're saying I have this much, but you have it more than me. Well, you have that. You're telling me, but you have that. Why are you telling me? First, you do it yourself. You work on yourself first, and then you work on me. So one puts himself into a very, 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 very dangerous position. It's a very grave situation to be in, especially when one doesn't realize it and one goes on and thinking like that, oh, my authority is simply trying to put me into anxiety. They're simply trying to put my life into a particular situation which is undesirable. I don't want to be in this situation. Now, where can I go and perform service? I would do so much more service if I didn't have this person putting me into so much anxiety. I could do so much more in my service. I could do so much bigger. I could do so much huge. I can get so many I can make so many devotees. I can cook so much better. I won't be disturbed. How much better it will be? I'll do my own thing. So that is the position one comes to, but it's fool. It's a fool. He who takes his mind to be the guru is a fool for a disciple. Then we become fools. Nobody can help us. Duryodhana, who can help Duryodhana? Who can help him? No one can help him. He could never see, even though so many sadhus were in front. Krishna himself was in front of him. He couldn't see. When one is covered by this envy, greed, lust, nobody can help him. Then we don't want to be in that situation where the Vaishnavas give up on us. That's a very grave situation. Because they never give up on anyone, generally speaking. Even the karmis and all these people are envious, but you see, we're still, take a cookie, take this, take that, do this, do that. So, just like Vidura, he kind of, being insulted, gives up the association of such bad persons as a sadhu does. But it's such an unfortunate situation for Duryodhana. He's like my spiritual master is saying, like with these philosophers, they're so close. So close, but so far. So similarly, sometimes in our devotional service, we're so close. Pure devotional service is right there. We did it. We're in the good association. We got a good spiritual master. But we're so far. And we can take it, we can go even further if we're not careful. So, we should be careful. We should be very careful to understand and look deeply within our heart and realize, whoa, there's a lot of problems. I am not purified. I'm not purified. I'm not that great. I have falsely put myself in a position as our own Acarya Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We're singing this Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rata. And one particular line that sticks out to me a lot is the mature desires within the core of my heart are unlimited. I'm wrathful, devoted to false pride and arrogance, intoxicated by vanity and bewildered by worldly affairs. Envy and egotism are the ornaments I wear. That is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling us. This is you. He's not saying this is me. How can Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who's brought the pure holy name back into this world and made it prominent, how can he be wearing envy and egotism? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks us to wear what around the neck? What should be around our neck? Trinadapi sunichena tarurapi sahishna amani namani dina kirtaniya sadahari. He doesn't have this around. He does not wear that ornament of envy and egotism, but we do. Therefore, we don't have attraction towards the holy name. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is pointing it out in us, but we think, no, that's someone else. That's not me. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is at the same time feeling like, oh, that is me. I'm feeling, this is, I am a perpetual liar, he's saying. I have performed unlimited, I never hesitated to perform great acts. I put others in great anxiety. I have no compassion. I'm only selfish. This self-interest is all I care about. And I feel very happy when I see others unhappy. Misery of others is a great source of pleasure to me. So we have these things in our heart. Duryodhana has this in his heart. Karna has this in his heart. And they egg Duryodhana. These personalities is just like, it's like that. It's like we can think like that. Duryodhana, we can almost in that role, and then we have our material desires that are egging us on, like Karna and Shakuni. They want something out of the battle. They don't particularly care for Duryodhana. They want something. They have something personal that they want to take care of. Shakuni wants to get revenge for the for the fact that Bhishma put his family in jail and barely gave them anything to eat. And Karna wants to get back at Drona for not accepting him as a disciple, for him not being accepted as a great warrior, such and such. Similarly, we have our material desires. They want name, fame, adoration, and they're egging us on, no, yes, do like this, do like that. We're controlled. So we should be very careful to understand where we're at in devotion service. We should constantly look at ourselves and see how we may be harboring desires within our heart that we're not even aware of at all. So devotion service is hard. It's difficult because you have to give up. You have to give up these things because they're hard to see. It's easy to, like I say to people nowadays, like it's easy to give up. Actually, it's these external things as grossly performing illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating. These are easy. It's not that hard. It's just like, you get taste in devotional service. It happens. But what's hard is to give up all of these duplicitous envy, greed, lust. Oh my God, these subtle desires that are there. Nobody can see it. Nobody can see it, but the expert spiritual master, he is endowed with that vision. And he has the sword of knowledge by which he cuts through these things if we allow it to happen. If we are receptive to it. If we are not foolish. If we're not foolish. Otherwise, as it's being said here, a foolish person counsel to a foolish person causes him to become angry, just as feeding milk to a snake only increases his venomous snake. Simply we'll hear that if we're not sincere, we hear the advice of the spiritual master or our authorities and we'll simply become angry. And just feed that more and more and more and then fall down from the platform of devotional service. So one has to be careful to have good association. There's a point being made here by Srila Prabhupada that why was this? Because of bad association. So we're in good association. How can, around us, we see devotees who are, on the path of pure devotional service. We're not particularly, we don't see the desire for name, fame, and adoration, but we are associating more with our minds than with the devotees. That's the problem. Our mind is a non-devotee. Our mind is a non-devotee. And we're giving it more significance than the instructions that are being given by the devotees. Therefore, we see sangat sanjayate kamaha. What you associate with, what are you going to associate with? You're going to associate with the desires in your mind? Or are you going to associate with the instructions of the spiritual master and his representatives? So, the fall down of Duryodhana is due to his giving significance to his bad association. If he gave significance to Vidura, he would be fine. But he gave more significance to Karna and Shakuni. He gave more significance to that. So therefore his mentality is of an offensive person. He has no chance now. So we should give proper significance not to the desires and the pullings of our mind, but give proper significance to the instructions of the devotees, and as Vishnu Chitta Prabhu was saying, see how we can see those things that they're seeing in us. They see particular problems and issues in us, and try to see with proper vision, the vision of Shastra, how that is within our heart and try to rectify that. So when we take upon good association, we take the good advice of others, of Vaishnavas, not considering That's the biggest mistake, to consider the Vaishnavas to be envious. When we consider that deeply within our heart, and then we take their association, knowing that they are our well-wishing friend for life, then we don't have to worry. Then we are free of anxiety. We can become free of anxiety. We can be assured. We do not have to be in anxiety. A devotee should not be in anxiety. Anytime it's problem, sometimes my spiritual master says, black-faced devotees. Not in color, like black, but like you can see, not the color of your skin, but just you see sometimes devotees just not happy, depressed. Not every case may be that, whatever, but in most cases, we've seen that it's generally material desires are. We're starting to cultivate material desires in the heart. So one can become free of anxiety, one can come to the platform of the character of Vidura, of having proper achar, vichar and prachar, if he simply submits and submissively and surrenders to the association of those devotees who are pure in the heart, or endeavoring to become pure in the heart. If one simply associates with them and stops giving his mind so much significance, the mind, the platform of feeling, willing, thinking, such and such, then he has no anxieties. Then he can be peaceful. It's so nice. It's so nice. All of these descriptions being given to us, so nice. It's like we're being told what to do and being told what not to do. This book is like, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says one should beat the mind at night with a broom and in the morning with shoes. Do you know which way around? Anyways, I don't remember which way around. But a way to do that is to read this book, actually. That's the realization I had. Read this at night. I read this every night. And it's just like, wow, this is literally like, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that's the purpose for him to write it, for us to keep us train the mind. And whatever, I read this for 15 minutes at night before I go to sleep or whatever. And it really helps you kind of understand you need to be Krishna conscious. You need to be Krishna conscious. And it helps you when those thoughts may come in the mind of such things, you know exactly what's going on. You know exactly what's the problem. And you don't go down that road. Our acharyas are so merciful to us. Our acharyas, they know us. Our spiritual master knows us more than we know ourselves. That's the spiritual master is in the heart of the disciple. We're thinking, he knows everything that I'm doing, and okay, I'm cleaning the floor. Does that mean he knows that? No, it means he knows everything. He knows all of the different issues that you have in your heart. He knows how to get rid of that as long as one is receptive to the instruction of the spiritual master. Well, as long as it's associating with the instruction of the spiritual master, there is no higher mantra than the lotus feet of the Guru. Well, as long as one is fixed at the lotus feet of the Guru, what does that mean? It means to hear from him, not go and sit at his feet particularly. That's not what that means. Not just to look at his feet, not just to offer some flowers at his feet. Of course, we do that, and we do not neglect that, and we do not give that any less significance. But the importance is given upon following his instructions, listening to the words of the spiritual master, and becoming enthusiastic to follow that. And by doing that, we become purified enough to perform service to the spiritual master. We can give him happiness. We can make the spiritual master happy. That is our desire. There's no other desire than that, to see the spiritual master pleased. Just like we were seeing yesterday, Shivaram Maharaj was so pleased. So pleased with what Mahotsav Prabhu has done. He's actually a little bit in shock. He's shocked. He's shocked. He couldn't believe it. 55 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. Unimaginable. He's like, I can't believe it. He's like, I have to go and see. I have to go to Atlanta. He said that. He said, I have to go to Atlanta. So the great Acharyas and the great Vaishnavas, they become very pleased by our work when it's done in accordance to Guru, when it's done according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, with a purified heart. Then what happens when the Vaishnava becomes pleased? How am I forgetting this? How does it start? Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan, Tinar Smarana Hoy, Vigna Vinashana, Anayasha Hoy, Nija Vanchita Purana, all the difficulties, they're gone, they go away. They go away, and one's real desire becomes fulfilled. There's no more impediment in being able to fulfill his desire. And what's his desire? His desire is one with the spiritual master. Ar na koriho mane ash. This is a good example of this breaking the world record. As Maharaj is saying that, who can stop him? Nobody can stop him. Maharaj is saying like that. Nobody can stop him. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya is in control. And nobody can stop Lord Chaitanya. So he said, the only thing stopping us is our own selves. We're stopping it. We're stopping the flow of mercy. We're stopping it. There's nobody else is a cause of our lacking in our service but us. Lord Chaitanya is there, ready. He's ready. He's saying to everyone when you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I need many distributors of love of Godhead. I cannot do it by myself. But he's waiting. He's waiting for us to put our hand out and to get that fruit and then to distribute it. To go out and to distribute those love of Godhead in the form of the books. And to distribute it to those conditioned souls and bring them to Krishna consciousness. That is the greatest desire of all the Vaishnavas. To see others become Vaishnavas. That's their only desire, actually. At the core of everything, that is the pure desire of the Vaishnavas, to see others become Vaishnavas. As Prahlad Maharaj is our example. I do not care for my own liberation. I care for the liberation of others. I do not care. What have I got to gain? I just care for them. So our desire is to give this Krishna consciousness to others on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, on the order of our spiritual master. And we try to do that purely. And when we do it with a pure heart, then we can pierce through the material energy. Then what we speak becomes on the platform of what Krishna is speaking. On the platform of what Srila Prabhupada is speaking, it becomes non-different. It's exactly the same. We become a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pure representative of the spiritual master. Then it can go through that material energy. Then it can go through the hearts. There's so much covering is there, so much material. Then it can enter their hearts. And then they'll become purified, and then they'll become Vaishnavas. Then they'll become devotees. We're endeavoring so hard to make devotees. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. It is difficult. It is very hard. You go out there and it's like Atlanta, 50% of the people we meet it's like either completely crazy, gay, retarded. It's like all of these things. It's like what a field to be in every time we go out there. It's like what a field to try to get someone. What are we trying to do? Trying to take someone who's most likely at the age of 18. There he is. He's arrived. But at the age of 18, 19, 20, and tell them that everything you've ever done in your life is completely useless. Forget about it. Whatever you've learned, whatever behavior you have, whatever you're doing in your life, you've just freaking wasted it your whole life. What have you been doing? Give it all up. Take up the four regulated principles, chant Hare Krishna, and come live in an ashram in a renounced way of life. That's a lot. That's a lot. We're asking for a lot. We're not asking for $10 from them anymore. Say, we go out on the street and to distribute a bhakta stack, that's pretty hard. Some, in the beginning, it's like, all right, can you give 15? And they're like, and then you got to do all of this, you got to do your thing. You bring you got your whole, bag of things that you do try to convince them more. And Krishna gives intelligence to do that, of course. That's pretty hard. And to convince someone to take a Srimad Bhagavatam, once I had enough mercy to just be like, here, take it. And, just give whatever you can, whatever, as sometimes our friends on the street also do, our devotees. You have enough to tell them, like, you just take it, give what you can. But it's still so hard to distribute it. But then to get someone to not give $300, but not to get $10, $15.50, to get their whole life, give your whole life. Whole life, it's a lot. But it's possible, because why? Because we did it. If someone like myself can do it, I don't see why anybody else can't do it. In our fallen position, we were able to do that. How? Because of hearing the purified words of the spiritual master. That pierced through the material energy. I could never imagine living like this. I don't know how many of you would have ever imagined you would be in a monastery in Atlanta, a temple in Atlanta, wearing a dress like this every day, day in, day out, the same thing, doing the same thing every day, not breaking the principles of the, four regulative principles. It's unimaginable. But how is that possible? By hearing the words of the spiritual master. With some reception, a level of sincerity must have been there. So if we purify our hearts of all this envy, greed, lust, and all these things, and we bring ourselves to a position, then we can distribute so many books, we can make so many devotees, we can do those things which are unimaginable. Impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary, Prabhupada would say. It seems impossible sometimes. We go out there and like, oh my God. Yeah, it's like, phew. Maybe we didn't realize how fallen this age was. But it's simply not that situation, as Prabhu was saying that in one of the chats, Vishnuchitta Prabhu posted that it will go on increasing. Only if we go on increasing our devotional service, we increase our love for Krishna. Then there's no impediment. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, yatra Partha Danudara, tatra Shri Vijaya Bhutir, Durvanitir Matir Mama. This was my mantra on book distribution. Is my mantra on book distribution. That Krishna, you're the greatest of mystics, and you can make anything happen. You're struggling hard all day. It's been 4 hours. You've only distributed 10 bhakta stacks. You're like, damn, everybody's going to sauce me out today. I don't want to get back to the temple. And I'm going to sit down during prasadam with my butt in my hands. It's like, what am I doing? But then, an hour goes by and you've distributed 50 bhakta stacks all of a sudden. So you can depend upon Krishna. Krishna is the greatest of all mystics. When we come to that level, we realize, like Maharaj was saying, Lord Chaitanya is in control and nobody can stop. Nobody can stop Lord Chaitanya. He's God. And so it's simply being an instrument, being receptive to that instrument, becoming empowered. He was saying like that, I won't be able to do this, but Lord Chaitanya can do it all. So when we come to the right association and right consciousness, not being full, then we can become purified and become happy, become completely satisfied, as Prabhupada is saying here in this purport. This alone it leads one to perpetual solace in his devotional service. Perpetual solace. There's no more anxieties for the rest of your life. You're living in Krishna consciousness, happy. So, we distribute these books, make devotees, make it the center of our lives, go on purifying ourselves, associating with the pure Vaishnavas, associating the words of the spiritual master. There's a lot of work to do. People think we don't do much. There's a lot to do, not just in terms of preaching wise. On ourselves, there's a lot to do. So, but we don't become pessimistic, but it's very optimistic in spiritual life because we have so much support. It's ridiculous. So we look forward to the difficulties that, finally I'm getting purified. Finally. There's so many things in my heart I didn't know. Finally Krishna is giving that mercy to become purified. So we take it with enthusiasm, looking forward to going through it and coming out the other side, knowing you will become purified and you'll be able to you will be able to serve Krishna with a greater amount of enthusiasm and greater amount of energy and love. So it's very encouraging to be in good association. So I'll end my class there. I'm sorry, I've gone so long. I didn't plan to. There's a lot more things that I had that I didn't speak about also. But please, any questions or comments or anything? Should we do like 5 minutes if you want to say anything, if you have anything to say?
I mean, I do. Maybe others have.
Please.
Yeah.
What's we have something? No.
So, so many things, but I'll just state one thing, that the failure to notice material desires within our heart is is a sign of insincerity.
Mm-hmm.
In spite of being given all the tools to recognize it, if one does not recognize it, that is a definition of being insincere, because it doesn't want to notice the material desires within the heart. Noticing material desires doesn't just mean admitting their existence, but being fully conscious and aware of the consequences of those material desires. It's not just admitting, oh yes, Prabhu, I'm very lusty, or I'm very fallen or whatever. But what are the consequences? How will that affect one's life? Becoming aware of that, becoming accepting of that, that is a sign of sincerity, and that takes a lot. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Open it up for anybody else.
Yeah, I was also.
We ordered a new one. It should be coming in today.
So
It's just for the live.
okay.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking, that, it's so hard for. I myself was doing this. Every time someone would correct me, I would be like, actually, you have that. You have that. And I wouldn't think about that until, if I was genuinely concerned about this devotee, I would have pulled them aside like, hey, actually, I see you. I think you're screwing up like this. But only when they pointed out, I remember, actually, you know what? Even you do the same thing. You do the exact same thing, And that's like a big thing to get over. But once you get over it, you get the mercy of Krishna. It's like a, you can, practical example.
Anything else? Yeah, yes. Take a little.
I just read this verse yesterday, so it freshly reminded me when you gave this class.
Oh, is it? Okay, it's the comment.
Okay.
You need to speak louder.
Now I lost it. Anyways, the Bhagavad Gita 3:31.
I can read that one.
Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully, without envy, become free from the bondage of fruitive actions.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting that without envy was put in there specifically, because you can go on executing your duties and following the injunctions, and it may seem like you're performing devotional service perfectly, but if you have this, the whole class is about if you have this harboring envy, then all of that's destroyed. And so these last two classes, I've definitely felt like we're super powerful. And if you have that mentality, that's probably because the class is addressing your problems. So I feel like I definitely am a super envious person. So I would like to read that book even. A lot of this is really pertinent to what's blocking my progress and stuff.
Yeah, I think we have a few copies of this. Okay. Mataji's can ask a few questions. Is there any questions? No? Okay. Sure. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.